Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for being here with us today. It's Thursday. It's Happy Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump Thursday, which we will have more of those.
We had one of these last days.
You got to turn on your microphone, buddy.
My microphone is on.
It is, but Brad doesn't want you to be heard.
Now, here I am.
It's personal.
Listen, I need you to understand who's in control here, Ryan.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
we
that's
do.
clear.
I think we're aware. What were you saying?
I was saying that
just have to
last
say it
Thursday
really
was
loud.
also Happy President Donald Trump Day.
Yeah.
It seems like next Thursday might be as well. So it kind of takes a little bit of the sheen off of this one. I don't know. That's just me.
False.
Oh, really?
You are incorrect. There's no sheen lost. The sheen is building.
Okay.
Yesterday during the show, I went back and watched this. Have you gone back and watched when we saw the news come through that Matt Gaetz was nominated for AG?
I have. Speaking of sheen, winning.
Did you get it? It's a different sheen.
Right.
But yeah,
okay.
the
Just
sheen.
had to sneak that in while
nonetheless.
we were still there.
Did you go back? Val, we put together a short of us talking about it. Did you see us actually realize from the televisions in the studio?
No.
It's the funniest thing ever. I can't put into words what my face said when I saw that news.
Yeah, I can. I was watching your face.
Yeah. And you looked at me like when I saw your face react to my face, I think you thought we were maybe gone to nuclear war or something like that.
There was something that you had realized that I had not seen yet.
It's weird to see your face react in a way, like it's weird for me to see my face react in a way that only other people would see in that moment. You're like, wow, I looked absolutely shocked.
I mean, that's a moment because this is what the nation is talking about. It's one of those almost quite breakthrough and everybody's talking about it political appointments.
It's more surprising to me and shocking every time I remember it that Matt Gaetz is the AG appointee than Donald Trump won the election.
I know.
I have a friend, a very dear friend, who I'm more of a Rubio. I'm just going to say it. Let's set the Republican spectrum here. I love Marco Rubio. This person loves Matt Gaetz. And yesterday we were like, well, we each got one today. It's kind of a wash.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot at play here. There is an ethics report in the House that is supposed to be released tomorrow. And the ethics report, there have been a lot of allegations against Matt Gaetz surrounding relationships he had with, the understanding that I have is 17-year-old girls. There's a lot of stuff out there. This has been deeply and widely discussed. You might go back and remember when they were trying to elect a speaker that it was Matt Gaetz v. Kevin McCarthy. And when they implemented the rule with the new Congress that it only took one member to motion to vacate the chair, who put that motion in? Who made that be the rule?
Matt
Gaetz, right?
Yes. Who ended up losing the speakership?
Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy. Well, the reason was that Kevin McCarthy was a part of, because he was the speaker and the Republican majority leader, or I guess minority leader before he became the speaker, that there was an ethics complaint against Matt Gaetz. And basically my understanding is Kevin McCarthy permitted, allowed, whatever the word is, this ethics investigation to commence. Now, if you have an ethics investigation in Washington, D.C., a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, they're setting him up.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why people are like that. We have evidence that suggests that the Justice Department and the inner workings of the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. can be manufactured against people because that's the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to rid the swamp. Matt Gaetz has always spoken highly on draining the swamp. So the love lost between Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz, the whole taking 18 ballots or whatever it was to get Kevin McCarthy the speakership, which lasted a few yawns, and then Mike Johnson became the speakership. That was all really founded on Matt Gaetz's disdain for Kevin McCarthy over, in many cases, personal reasons regarding the ethics investigation into Matt Gaetz. And you can go back and listen to the reporting that was taking place during that time, and people will talk about that ethics report. Yesterday, Donald Trump names Matt Gaetz as his Attorney General appointee, to which our jaws dropped, and really, really unfortunate in this line of work, we didn't have words.
It's true.
We were pretty much speechless. And sometimes Pete Hegseth is a good example. That one was kind of like a what? And then you learn more about it, and then you end up going, okay, well, I kind of understand this more. I've been researching this one a little bit more. It still doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. Of all the people that you have to pick from, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But then, a little bit after the show, news comes out. Shocker, nobody saw this coming. Matt Gaetz resigned yesterday. Matt Gaetz is not a congressman today.
Right.
He's out. Well, come to find out that ethics report was to be released tomorrow. And the reason why it was coming out tomorrow is because there is a policy in place that nothing like that gets released within months of an election. I think it goes back to like August is when they're like, okay, none of this stuff is going to come out now. We don't want this ethics report or something like that to come out and dramatically influence people's votes in an election, which I'm here or there on whether that's a good idea, whatever. So it got punted to after the election is set in. It was coming out Friday. That is a House investigation. It is an intra-organization investigation. Matt Gaetz is not in the House anymore. That investigation, that ethics report, is toast. We will not consume the contents of that report unless somebody else has a way of subpoenaing it, or I don't know that it really has, if other people have access to it or legal recourse to be able to go and subpoena it or what FOIA. I don't know if any of that is even possible. Part of me thinks that maybe the House would have to choose to release it, but I'm sure Matt Gaetz has rights there as well. Matt Gaetz resigns. The ethics report doesn't come out. Matt Gaetz' side of the story is that it takes 8 weeks to officially conduct an election to replace his seat. That makes sense, so I understand that side of the story as well. So Matt Gaetz steps down immediately, which makes it so the seat is vacated, which makes it so Ron DeSantis can order his Secretary of State to conduct an election to replace his seat, which will happen, I think the date in my head is like January 3rd. So that seat will very likely go to a Republican and be that way when the new Congress, I think it's the 119th maybe, Congress commences. If this ethics report is as bad as the Kevin McCarthys of the world say it is, Matt Gaetz is never going to make it to any sort of confirmation. Oh, Annie, but recess appointments. Matt Gaetz doesn't want this report to come out. I assume even if it were not super damning, you don't want something like that, the allegations and stuff, to be released. So Matt Gaetz has been vocal about his interest in the governorship of Florida. Ron DeSantis is going to be done in 2 years. If he doesn't get appointed to the AG position and confirmed, however they go about the confirmation through actual senatorial confirmation or recess appointments, if he withdraws his name for consideration, which people do for various reasons. Steve Moore talks about how he was, what was he appointed to? Treasury or Fed chair or something?
Steve Moore that we talked to.
No,
yeah, Fed
not our
chair.
boss.
Yes.
Unless he's been appointed to the cabinet at one point or another.
No,
I didn't know
he was
that.
supposed to be chairman of the Federal Reserve.
And they attacked him like
they
crazy,
torpedoed
and
him.
he said, it was terrible, so I withdrew my name for consideration. If Gaetz ends up withdrawing his name for consideration, if the report doesn't come out, people, time may heal wounds in politics. People have short memories, and then other things come out, whatever. I don't know what's going on here. But I do know that today Matt Gaetz is out of the House of Representatives. So we have the Matt Gaetz divide in the Republican Party, which I think is silly. If Matt Gaetz becomes AG, I'm not mad about it. I'm not going to be like, we were winning so much and now we're losers. That's what there are people who are saying right now, but they're on the other side of the aisle. I don't want to join them in that. I do trust Donald Trump to know what he's doing. But today, Matt Gaetz is out of the House of Representatives, and he was the biggest rabble-rouser that existed in the House of Representatives. He was the most willing to put himself in the middle of chaos to affect something that he wanted to see come to fruition. Now, that's probably what his constituents want him to do because they keep electing him. So it's hard to look at that and say, how shameful. Because if his constituents continue to elect him, that's the check on that type of behavior. If Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's constituents keep saying, yeah, we like AOC, I don't get it, but that's not my prerogative. It's the people who get to go and fill in the circle or whatever it is for AOC on the ballot. So I mean no disrespect to the people in Matt Gaetz's district. They continue to choose him. But I don't really know how this is going to end up. But my prediction here, and I could be wrong, and I'm very willing to be wrong on this, is that Gaetz will withdraw his name from consideration before a confirmation is even a possibility. Could be wrong, but that's where I think this is going.
That's all very interesting. It's just interesting, political maneuvering is what that would look like. The him resigning from Congress thing, though, Mike Waltz is also resigning from Florida, and he's resigning, I believe, now also to get that seat filled as fast as possible. So that there seems like there's kind of a double reason. If Matt Gaetz is doing it, it's to also get the seat filled as quickly as possible, just like
it's not
Mike Waltz's would be.
And it's a very, like I was saying before when I mentioned that, when Matt Gaetz says he's doing that, it's a very viable, responsible reason to step down. But it's also super risky to be like, I'm gonna step down. Like, you're giving up your seat in Congress.
Yeah, for a position that will have a lot of consternation around it, because there is no guarantee. In fact, from what you just said, it's unlikely that he would be confirmed in that position at all.
I don't believe that the Senate. I don't believe Senator. I don't think Murkowski. I don't think Collins.
I don't either.
I don't think. I understand there's. Yeah, McConnell. I could see him going against it, and I really do believe that if the recess appointment thing doesn't work, which I believe that it seems like there is a consensus, they're willing to participate in that. For this one specifically, if the Republican senators aren't willing to confirm him, I don't think he's going to push it to make them not confirm him. That's not politically advantageous to Matt Gaetz.
Yeah. The other reason why that theory makes sense to me is that the first thing I thought of yesterday after, oh my gosh, is it never struck me that Gaetz and Trump were that close. A lot of these people you got to
be careful with the word close, though, because in politics, it's not about being close. It's about being useful.
Sure. But people like Pete Hegseth apparently had a pretty good relationship with Trump. They would talk a lot. So that makes sense. Tulsi, RFK, Elon Musk, Ramaswamy, these people getting these seats, they campaigned with him. They were very publicly with him a lot. And I didn't see that from Gaetz. Some of these names I don't know as well, so you don't necessarily know. But he was one that I thought, if they were that close.
Gaetz talks about being like one phone call away from Trump all the time.
Sure. But there's a lot of people who probably are one phone call away from Trump who aren't going to get appointed to these positions.
Why are we assuming that Trump is doing this as a favor to Matt Gaetz and not as a favor to himself? I mean, if
anything Trump does is a favor to himself.
Right.
First and foremost.
If Matt Gaetz is such a rabble-rouser in Congress and you don't want that sort of... Because if I look at it, I look at Matt Gaetz and go, Matt Gaetz is why the last Congress was so ineffective, why Republicans weren't able to rule, because he put that rule in there.
And that's an opinion, and I agree with it.
Yeah. That the speaker now has to walk on eggshells wherever he goes and can't do speaker things, which they didn't have that on the Democrat side. And you had like Nancy Pelosi just swinging that gavel wherever she needed to get whatever done she needed to get done. So Trump looks at this, says, I'm going to have Congress for 2 years for sure. We don't know what'll happen after that. Historically, people lose seats in the House after that. So what he wants is a very effective Congress. So he looks at this and says, well, if I do this for Matt Gaetz and he's out of Congress, then I don't have to worry about him causing trouble, and my Congress can be more effective. And I don't think anybody is doing anything for other people.
Right. I think that it's super layered, because I believe that Donald Trump knows exactly what he's doing and understands the long game more than anybody else who I've ever witnessed in politics. And if he knows that the long game is Gaetz out of Congress, maybe a future governorship for Gaetz, Donald Trump's not interested in managing Matt Gaetz's career. But I guess the question is, what's the worst that can happen here? There are two outcomes, and it's all a matter of perspective. What's the worst that can happen here? Either he doesn't get confirmed to be the attorney general, or he does. That's the worst that can happen, and it's 100% based on perspective. And if he becomes the attorney general, does he have the ability to do what needs to be done? I question that. And I questioned that I thought, boy, that seems very strange to me. But I also, looking at the long game here, I think, as the point I was making just a little bit before, that Matt Gaetz out of Congress, I don't think that there are many people in Congress right now who are crying sad tears over his absence. Comments coming in here, I think it was Scooter was saying, but now they have 3 absences. That seat, I've been told by multiple sources, will absolutely go Republican. Ron DeSantis has already started the clock on the 8 weeks that are necessary in order to announce the special election being in place. It'll happen in the first days of January, and that seat will be filled before the Congress actually commences. So that's one seat that's not. And I've also been told with great confidence that Waltz's seat, super Republican, not going to flip. And I've been told that the Stefanik they're very confident about that one as well.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And I mean, these are from people who are in the conversation, who are there in the House, that are saying these are going to be Republican seats. They're not worried about that. They also explained to me that they don't really want to have this thought on further nominees.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you made your point, but these seats will continue to be Republican, and the clock starting on them means that those seats will be filled in time to maintain a majority. So that's the YouTube live chat poll for today. Do you like Matt Gaetz as Trump's pick for attorney general? Not will he get there, not if he becomes... Not do you think that it's going to be an appointment by recess, or that it's going to have to go through the confirmation or whatever. Did you hear Matt Gaetz for attorney general and go, yes? Or did you go, what? Which I don't like this pick. But if he becomes the attorney general, I'm still super happy that Donald Trump is the one who gets to pick it. So I'm just going to tell you right now, my answer for this is no. But there are worse things to worry about. But I want to get you guys your comments about this throughout the course of the show.